So me and my wife know this couple, Miss Joan and Henry. They're way up in their 70s. We've known them for years, and salt of the earth people. Henry, he's a complainer, was a complainer. Um, he'd give you his shirt off his back, but it was just part of his personality. You know, he just complained, and he drove Miss Joan crazy. And every time he'd get on her nerves, she'd send him out to the barn. He had no mule he'd had for 20 years, you know, and she'd tell him, go out there and talk to that mule, you know. Anyway, a mule is what wound up killing him. He was out there. She'd send him out to the barn. He was out there with that mule, and it kicked him in the head, and he didn't make it. I think he was about 78. But anyway, we went to the service the other day for him, and at the end of a funeral service, you know how everybody walks by and greets the family members and gives them their condolences and everything. Well, there was a big long line, and Miss Joan was standing there, and I was kind of at the back of the line, but I kept noticing that when all of the men would go by, she'd nod her head, you know, say something and give them a hug or whatever. When all the women came by, they would talk a minute, and she'd shake her head no. I thought, that's kind of weird, and I kept watching. Sure enough, every time a man, she would nod her head, and a woman, she'd shake her head. They'd shake hands or hug or what. Anyway, when I got up to Miss Joan, you know, I gave her my condolences and everything, but I asked her, I said, this is kind of odd, and I said, but I hope you don't mind me asking, I've noticed that you always nod your head to the men, but you shake your head to the women, and I said, I don't understand. And she said, well, the men just asked me if I'm doing okay, you know, and I tell them, yeah, I'm doing okay, thank you. And she said, all the women really want to know is if that mule's for sale.